Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Disco Elysium. Once again, we get to meet a super interesting character in this episode. This time it is Soona, the programmer. And I'm really fascinated by our interaction with her because she's very different from a lot of the other people that we've met in Martinez so far. And what does that mean for someone like Harry, who is quite impressionable and tends to look for how to model his own behaviors and presentation from other people? Soona is someone who is passionate and dedicated and quite composed. So it's quite curious how we push her buttons and, kind of take in how she reacts to that in a very respectful and patient way. Lots to discuss today on how this parallels child development and different ways of confronting people. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and let's dive in. All right, let's continue. Someone very kindly reminded me that I forgot to actually do the whole print thing over here.
The keyboard is still illuminated. The printer prints out a long text document with dated paragraphs. It looks a bit like someone's journal.
Let's check that out.
The first entry, made on the 4th of February, 51, by an unknown author, is short and concise.
Okay.
Arrived at the church. The door was boarded up, so I used the crowbar to get inside. Looks like the place has been deserted. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I'll ask around. Need to figure out how to get the electricity in.
I guess they didn't meet the crab man.
Leans closer, scouring the printout over your shoulder. Just as you finish reading, he looks up, muttering under his breath.
4th of February. That's over a month ago. Whoever set up those machines has been here for quite a while.
Do you think this log might be connected to the case?
Our case? No.
Shit.
It must be some local eccentric.
Okay, let's read the second entry.
6th of February, 51. Had a little chat with the local fishermen. Said I shouldn't go near that place, that the church was spooky and ridden with narcotics. It's a little spooky, all right. Still haven't figured out the electricity.
One of these days, I'm going to convince Kim to learn how to have some fun.
Even one of the spookers themselves says it's unnerving.
And to enjoy a little, like, side quest escapades.
What was that about narcotics? This could prove to be interesting.
Wait, narcotics. Look around the derelict building.
I doubt that we can find any. It's just idle fishermen's gossip to scare away the kids. Nothing spooky about this place either. It's just abandoned and cold, and in an awful part of town.
Let me. I wish I could take him on to a haunted house or something. Like what I was talking about in the last episode about like experiencing something paranatural or supernatural with a friend. I feel like Kim would maybe unfortunately be the guy who is just super hyper rational about everything and may not play as much into it. And then again, he might also be the one to like really buy in. I feel like if he did buy in, like if he were to go with it, he would be the most fun person to be around.
7th of February, 51. Finally got the electricity in. Next on the agenda, a new antenna. I'm thinking ESCA series, something advanced.
Why would she need an antenna?
Why would anyone need any of this equipment here?
For music, Kim. Read the 4th entry.
8th of February, 51. Bought the antenna. Had some problems setting it up. Called Simo for help. Heard the others are back to making art. Drinking somewhere out of town. Sulislav started a rock band again. Lexi has been seen asking money from strangers. Artists, yet again. Harassing citizens. Stealing badges. Occupying public spaces with installations. Like the one here.
What's so fascinating is like these different parts of our personality all have their own hyperfixated prejudices, like authority coming in with like this like idea that like artists are vandals and degenerates. Whereas, like, I think maybe one of these guys might appeal more. That stuff might appeal more too. This is fascinating.
But at least the artists have their act together. They're qualified labor. They can get work anywhere. Graphic design, ads. The programmers are doing fine too. I mean, they're programmers. The writers, though, they're fucked.
That's real.
I just have to find out what
That's
caused
real.
that data loss and be done with it. Still don't understand how it managed to wipe out the backup when the backup wasn't even connected to the front. I know. Everyone thinks it's impossible. They say I must be lying. I'm here to set it right.
Data loss.
Seems like something to do with radio computers. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to understand what the author is saying. Something about the backup data getting destroyed, and how everyone thought it was the author's fault. Let's just keep reading.
Artists, programmers, Lexi, who are all these people?
Her friends? Colleagues? She must be quite educated if she knew how to set up all this machinery.
Okay.
12th of February, 51. Brought some food from the grocery store. Apparently, there's a strike going on in the harbor. Definitely not happy to see the Martinez people again. Everything's now set up in the church. Going to start working tomorrow, 8 a.m.
The strike. We are nearing the date of the murder.
Oh, this actually does have something to do with the case. Here I was sitting thinking, like, I'm probably going to cut this part out because I have nothing interesting to say about it.
Keep reading. I'm interested now.
What the fuck?
That radio anomaly that sent this person here in the first place.
This is fucking funny. I was just talking about how if Kim like could get hooked by something like that, that he would really dig his heels in. This game is in my brain.
25th of February, 51. I've been sending data up to Lintel for a while now, trying to recreate the data loss, but nothing. Didn't even feel like logging in, the disappointment. But I did discover a curious audio-spatial anomaly at the back of the church. I've named it the Swallow. It swallows sound.
This is the kind of stuff that I really enjoy, though, is like weird, unexplained technological phenomenon, or like phenomenon that we don't have the ability to measure. Like, that stuff's always fun.
Is she talking about?
The crab man. He's talking about the crab man.
28th of February, 51. Yes, the first recordings confirm that the swallow is real, and I'm not just losing my mind. It's a pillar of silence with a diameter of approximately 3 meters. Seems like the higher I go, the less I record. This might be a coincidence, or it could be connected to the data loss that led me here.
Maybe it has something to do with the pail.
The pillar of silence. She is talking about the silence. Is she suggesting it's more than just an architectural quirk?
I'm so excited for Kim to be super interested in this. If I were able to interject some subtext, or like add some context, like I would be playing what Kim usually does. Like, no, like you said, this has nothing to do with the case. Let's move on. Now that he's interested, I would just fuck with him. What could it be, though? Let's look at the water basin.
The lieutenant doesn't answer. He follows your gaze, studying the basins. The water shines in them. March 51. Some kind of young disco men have appeared next to the church. I've been trying to record the silence to find the epicenter, but now it turns out I've also been capturing the future of dance music.
That's right.
One neo-disco song over
The future of dance music.
Fortunately, the song is so monotonous, I was able to devise an algorithm to factor it out. The other day, one of the disco men came in.
The disco
Before I could
man.
even say hello, she got scared and left. Good. I don't want anyone distracting me from my work.
Oh, maybe she's the shadow.
That disco
person.
man must be a cell.
She must be describing Estelle. Kim has no idea who Estelle is. I wonder if he's going to comment on that.
The girl on the ice? Sounds like her, yes.
The game may not know this, but Kim was not with me when I met her. Technically, he has no idea who she is.
March 51. A new 2-meter aux cable. Noodles, crackers, ping-ping energy drinks, water, toothpaste, gum. Also, some canned air.
Unless Kim has also, like, been gallivanting around Revachol trying to help the troubled youth in his spare time. And he's got his own little side adventure with Asel and Kuno going that I don't know about.
Someone's coming.
Oh my god. No, that's Kim, this has nothing to do with the case, remember? We have to leave.
A strange woman makes straight for the radio computer.
It just doesn't even say anything.
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
She glares at you as she holds down the off button for several seconds. The machine reboots.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
Ah, now it's a part of the investigation. Now you need to pull out your RCM card. I just would be fucking with Kim so much. I feel like we're at that point now where you're close enough that you can push someone's buttons. Like, we're here on a side case representing certain music venue organizers. We're not just breaking in, I'm pursuing a mysterious lead, searching for my lost identity. Ooh, these are both true. What do I think she will appeal more to? Probably the lost identity thing. I mean, she's the one who's talking about like the mysterious silence phenomena. I feel like she would enjoy a bit of X-Files lost identity.
You won't find any answers from here.
Ah, shit. She barely looks up from the keyboard. You hear the machine whir back to life.
It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
I mean, fair. We are disturbing her property.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
Okay, Kim. I'm glad to have you on board. Is she done yet?
What is it?
The woman is still hunched over the keyboard, gently illuminated by the purring machine. I didn't break anything, did I?
No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper.
Sorry, but who are you? What are you doing here?
I am Soona Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. I have over 16 years of programming experience, and I'm proficient in both Vox and Orbis languages.
Okay.
If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you.
Can I hire you to be the STEM tutor for a certain a certain checkout counter clerk with an untapped potential for the sciences?
That still doesn't answer what she's doing in an abandoned church.
Have you seen the Crab Man?
Nope.
But you know he's around.
Yes.
It sounds like you're not worried about him at all.
No, you're right. I'm not.
She's quite perfunctory. She's even more standoffish than Kim was when we first met him. I get it. She's got a job to do. And we're like literally just being intrusive weirdos. Why are there so many machines in this place?
I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything.
Why do you need an antenna? I feel like we're like a child. Why is this there? Why is that there?
I use the AR1 as my RAIN prefix processing unit.
She's just being a patient adult, just answering us very simply. I don't understand.
RAIN prefect is my radio computer.
And that antenna is its processing unit?
Yes? You really don't know anything about radio computers, do you?
I don't really know much about anything in this world, to be honest.
All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna.
What's on air?
On the front, the unified front of radio waves, licensed and controlled by Lintel in the East Insulindic region.
Okay.
It's all around us. That's what on air means.
And the AR1, is it a good antenna?
I guess it is. So far I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage, and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market. So I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000 is a foolproof line for civilians. Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything. Ask around, compare the prices. There are many milieus dedicated to that sort of thing.
I actually really like Soona. She is being very patient with me in a way that many people in Martinez have not been when we're asking what seem like very stupid questions. Perhaps this is because she is an expert in her field, and that carries with it a responsibility not to criticize people for not knowing, but to simply educate them. That's something I actually advise to people, especially parents, when they're like, yeah, I'm struggling to like get my kid to understand why they're not doing what they're supposed to, or not even parents, but like if I was counseling a teacher or coaches or anyone in any position of authority that's struggling to motivate people. Yeah, I mean, like there's a very different way that you come across when your mindset is on informing someone versus criticizing them. Like not responding with the sort of like, why don't you know this? Instead of just providing the answer to what the person is asking. Surprisingly, this is like a really common issue. And you could see that she gets a little frustrated by like, she was like sighing a little bit like, wow, you really don't know anything. But it's a tough thing when you are someone who, like Harry, should know all of these things. This is something that I encounter decently often in my work because, not all the time, but sometimes I'm working with people who may have like had not a lot of experience with basic life skills, right? Growing up. Maybe it just wasn't a part of their upbringing, or you know, they've been through foster systems, or just not had like a lot of opportunities to learn in a safe or like welcoming environment as a child. And so now they're an adult and they don't know a lot of simple things like, you know, how to like use the washing machine or something. And there's like a shame that comes through with that, where it's like, yeah, you look at me and you say, you look like you should be mature enough to know this simple thing. And so people often don't want to ask to fill in those gaps of knowledge because they often get criticized. They often get looked like they're stupid. And they're not. It's just that they haven't gotten that education. And so being the person who knows the thing, it's important to be mindful of who's asking the question and to not be prejudiced and assume if you don't know this, it's because you're stupid. It's more like, oh, if you don't know this, you just haven't come, it hasn't come to you yet. Yeah, I find Soona really interesting for that. She's a good educator so far. Maybe if we keep going, she'll get upset.
She liked telling me this. It calmed her nerves.
Yeah. I think that it's also good for you, the person educating, like to feel like you helped someone out. Like when you truly inform someone, rather than like, do you feel good after you shut someone up, you idiot? You don't know what an antenna is? Like, no, you don't really feel great about that. I mean, maybe you do, and if you do, I'm sorry. You're missing some of this, but what are you doing with your radio computer?
I'm working.
Working on what?
Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something.
You can tell that she is like at her limit though, like, but she is still remaining calm and respectful. What about those bowls of water over
They
there?
are connected to my rain prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay? Thanks.
Short and terse. There you have it. Whatever she's using them for, they're hers.
What she's also doing from like a developmental psychology perspective is she's role modeling pretty well, which is when she confronted us with you know, the fact that we were like using her equipment. There's different like ways of confronting people. You have like different confrontation styles. They're avoidant, right? Like when you to confront someone, you become avoidant to them. It's kind of like the silent treatment. It's a kind of confrontation because you are actively ignoring a problem you both know is there and hoping that the person becomes upset by it. So that's a kind of confrontation. There is accommodating. So confronting someone with like, how can I help you get what you need? There's collaborative confrontation. So like, what can we both do together to meet what we want? There's compromising confrontations. So like, what can I pull back from in order to satisfy what you need? And then there's the last one is competitive confrontation. So accommodating, avoidant, compromising, collaborative, competitive. And that last one, competitive, is typically what we're thinking of when we're saying, I'm going to confront someone. I'm going to go like bring this issue up and be very direct. And it's a competitive mindset because it's looking at the situation like, I need to be more an authority here. I need to make my position clear, and your position needs to be like withdrawn. Like it's not accommodating, it's not collaborative, it's not compromising, it's competitive. And when she came up here, it's not like she accused us of like stealing her data really, or like destroying something. She wasn't competitive. Like she was maybe a little like avoidant. But when someone is highly competitive and confronting you in that way, like what it teaches you is that is the way to address problems, like for a young kid. And in some ways, I feel like Harry has an arrested development that, you know, we do act quite childish sometimes. And so if we were to start seeing that all the time in every situation, the types of confrontation being very competitive, for example, the way Kuno talks. Kuno doesn't fucking care, right? Kuno is going to be the top dog. Like that kind of like schoolyard bullying shit. Like Kuno was very competitive, confrontational, and it basically it asks you to bring yourself down to their level, which is like what we did at the beginning when we tried to like fight him. Like it will compromise your supposedly better morals because now you're in a power struggle. So when someone is competitive and confrontational with you, we tend to feel threatened. And so we start seeing the world more in those power dynamics that, okay, if I want to have a one-up on someone, I should threaten them. If I don't want to be taken advantage of, I have to be constantly combative and defensive myself. So being very competitive with kids doesn't work. That's not the way to confront them. So yeah, there's been a bunch of cases that I've had where I'm working with parents specifically, and we're trying to look at like what is the style of confrontation being used when you're trying to educate your child on why they shouldn't do something, from as simple as like there's toys all over the floor, and you come at this as an adult and say like, well, you shouldn't put your toys here because people are going to step on them and it's dirty and it's not keeping our environment clean and what are people going to think and you're not being responsible. And like the child, you're asking the child to adopt an adult's mature perspective, which isn't always feasible, right? They're going to feel more like they're criticized but you feel like you're educating them on how to be an adult. What's often helpful is to like simulate a slightly smaller child, and instead of telling them you need to pick up that toy and put it away because I'm going to step on it and get hurt. This is a lot of causality that like a young child's not going to get. Have them observe, step on the toy and go, ow, wow, it's really hard to walk here. Gosh, there are so many toys on the ground. I don't know how to get across the room without stepping on them. That really hurt. And the child's like, instead of you putting the idea in their head directly and saying, please understand this, the child will make the idea themselves based on what they're seeing. And they'll say, oh, like mommy is not able to walk here. Like I saw her get hurt. Like this has been demonstrated. The idea will emerge from within their own understanding, from their frame of view and their level of maturity. How are we going to solve this problem? Like this is a collaborative thing. Now the child will often think, wow, mom is dumb. If she just moved the toy out of the way, she wouldn't step on it. I don't understand. Like you can simulate this, right? Simulate like a slightly smarter or a slightly less smart child. And the child will be able to close that distance much more than from a master's perspective, which is kind of the vibe I get from Soona, who is like very highly technically competent. And it's hard for someone who is an expert to understand always where someone who has no idea what you're talking about is coming from. So it takes a lot of patience, but also changing what perspective you're coming from and how you confront the person on that. So I think that she's doing great modeling here, which is setting a clear boundary with us. Like, that's not my stuff, don't touch it. And also not being competitive, like get out of here, don't touch my stuff, you shouldn't do anything like that. Which is just kind of fascinating. Right, I'll try not to touch anything. Next question.
Great.
We're getting to her though. What are you doing in an abandoned church?
You really like those questions, don't you?
I'm a police officer. It's my job to ask questions.
I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out.
Okay. She's willing to enter the power struggle if needed. What research?
I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world.
What?
She's looking for a disruption in the radio waves. That's what her personal log said.
Interesting.
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything.
A hole in the world. What does that mean exactly?
Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible to say what it is because it's impossible to measure nothing.
Dark matter.
What do you think it is?
Dark matter.
What qualities does nothing have? How do you measure something that does not exist?
I'm a therapist, not a space person, but I love space, love sci-fi. My understanding of something like dark matter is that it is also not possible to measure directly because it is matter that does not interact with light. So we can't really measure it or perceive it. But the reason we know it's there is because you can't explain the gravitational rotation of galaxies and their position with one another without this stuff. Like, there must be more stuff and the way that things are moving and how far things are from each other from the origin of the Big Bang. that requires there to be more matter. That's my basic understanding. But it's kind of interesting. It's something like that, where you can't really measure the thing. You can measure what is around it that is being affected by it. So like indirect measurement, kind of like a black hole as well. We can see like light bending, but not the actual matter itself.
That's a little above your pay grade at the moment.
I can't even understand how we're talking about something that doesn't exist, let alone measure it.
You measure it by its surroundings, by that which does exist.
Boom!
Which is what I've been trying to do. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins.
I could have been a scientist.
But honestly, it's not progressing very well.
This idea appeals to me, though, that you measure what is around something. Because as a therapist, it is often similar. The kind of detective work you're doing to understand a problem is, if someone says, like, I'm upset and I don't know why, this is like the hole in someone's emotional understanding, and we can't necessarily point to it and say, like, that's the reason you're upset. But we will engage in a process of discovery that asks, like, well, what are the other things that could be at play? What's happening around you? What are the things that are more measurable and more determinable that surround this feeling? And maybe at that point we can discover and make sense of what is there that we currently detect. So it's kind of cool. Is the hole connected to the data loss?
Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that.
Where is this hole?
Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume.
She looks up, trying to pierce the pitch black heights above, but without much success.
Strange things may flourish in the dark.
Why there?
There's this place at the back of the church. A place where all audible vibrations seem to decease. I've named it the Swallow. And the higher you go, the less you record.
I bet Estelle is going to be the one to like discover this, the truth of this in the next generation.
The Pillar of Silence? Are you sure it's not just an architectural quirk?
Don't try to hide your excitement, Kim. You're fascinated by this.
Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to this place.
Kim is just nerdy enough that I feel like that the technological aspect of this brought him in, whereas like the mythological or the abstracts really doesn't, it seems. This is where the Crab Man lives.
I know.
You don't think the Crab Man might be somehow responsible here?
No, I don't.
She sounds mildly annoyed by this line of questioning. Her hands typing hundreds of commands into the machine.
You said the research isn't going well. Why not?
Because it's just trial and error. Trying to locate the Swallow, the exact point in space. And I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work.
We're reaching a breaking point. That's all I wanted to know about the scary 2mm hole in the world for now.
Great. Thanks.
I have to ask, how do you feel about anodic dance music?
What? I hate it.
What are you, 40? It's the future of dance music. Same here, it just doesn't connect here. Let's just ask her why she hates it. Why do you hate it?
Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it, but to a sober mind it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with either dancing or music.
Right. But how do you feel about a club for anodic dance music?
This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub they want to build here.
What do they want to build then?
Take a guess, why don't you?
A youth center would be nice. A youth center would be nice. They said it's their dream. Community space to help the elderly? No. A youth center would be nice.
I can't believe they got you so easily. We'll have another talk with those up-and-coming entrepreneurs, will you? Thanks.
The thing is for the roleplay, I have to buy in because we failed the check that would have seen past the lie. So as far as we know, that's what we're convinced of.
Good luck. I'm not coming in there.
Oh, okay. Let's leave her alone. Okay. I guess we're gonna go talk to them. I want to check out what's back here first, though.
In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad, a dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel.
I should kneel. Based on what? Based on who? Which part of me wants to do that? I don't want to kneel.
Cold wind seeps in from the crack in the glass. Snowdrifts cover the floorboards at your feet. Above, you feel her multicolored eyes on you, inspecting you, as if under a microscope.
I'll look up.
The woman looks down at you, standing there. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips and a glint in her green-blue eye. Of what? Compassion? Remorse?
It's not possible to live. What the fuck? Oh boy. That's remorse. That's compassion. It's got to be compassion, right?
As that soft word passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder.
Let's just follow Kim's lead here.
Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times as you stand in the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles, her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass.
Oh, we can actually reconstruct this, but our visual calculus is super poor. Visual calculus and encyclopedia. I mean, give me gear. Let's gear up for this. Let's pop those bad boys on. Visual calculus coat. Why not? No. I do like how the sunglasses give us minus. What was the other one? Encyclopedia. I don't think we have anything that... I think we're wearing all our encyclopedia stuff already, or... I don't have much for that.
The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious and complex wax painting
Ooh,
on
okay.
a single pane of glass. A crack runs across the...
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the Delorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the Small Pinewood Church in some records.
You knew of the place.
It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Revachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
What else do you know?
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them. The 7 Sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps?
A pang of guilt. The lieutenant is leaving something out.
Do you know why it was abandoned?
I have a theory, yes. There was a police raid a while back. I heard the place was shot to pieces. The old woman in the village was being tactful with us when she didn't mention it. She has more respect for the RCM than many around here.
Who conducted this raid?
Well, Your station was involved, I hear, although I can't be sure.
How come the lieutenant isn't sure? Is this confidential information?
You're not sure?
3 precincts were involved in the raid, and people say Precinct 41 was one of them.
Interesting. I don't remember being
I
here.
am pretty sure it was a clandestine operation. I don't know anything more about it, why it was conducted, or who participated. I try not to pry into extra-district matters.
I really gotta respect that, Kim. Kim likes to stay in his lane. If I was here, I should find out what I was doing.
Good luck. You will not get information on a confidential operation from your station secretary just by calling. If you really don't remember, it might be better to keep this one forgotten. It happened a while ago. It's unimportant to our business in Martinez now.
Okay. Maybe we'll come back to this, because we're probably not going to pass this stuff anyways. All right. I think it's time to go back and have another chat with the Ice Gang. Let's see if I can get Kim to fall in line for this one.